All right, all right, all right. God dang, God dang, God diggity dang. Michael Gebben here, your mind mechanic, tuning up hearts and minds one at a time so that your ideas don't die in your hearts, your heads, or your hard drives. So today, I'm pulling out the 4 R's. The 4 R's, kind of like the 4 horsemen. What are we going to talk about here today in relationship to the 4 R's? And what are the 4 R's? Anyone want to throw out some ideas? What are the 4 R's? What are some of the R's? The ARG. My man, I think of Mr. John, I was saying ARG, we could talk about. So in my life, there's been periods of time where I had a lot of resentment towards other people. I had regrets around money I spent. And then we're going to talk about the two that are going to help you take the resentment, the regret, the negative, the around these things that are holding you back, and shift perspective and be able to move forward in a really powerful way so that you are not hanging on to your past through a lens of pessimism. Oh, I did this didn't work out. If I do that again, it's because I have found that there are things that you did that were the right thing at the wrong time. And you did it, and there were lessons to be learned, but you're not looking through it moving forward through lessons that you learned. You're looking through it. I already did that. I won't do it again. So I've had people, I'm like, well, you could reach out to some people that you already worked with. You could reach out to people in your network that you're already connected with. Like, we're always looking for new, but at times there's people right in the palm of your hands that you could help, that you could serve, that you could do your thing for, whether it's web design, videography, photography, advertising, marketing, whatever that is, entertaining, that there's people that you already know. And you may say, well, I already reached out. They weren't interested. They didn't want to pay. They didn't have the money. They didn't care. They didn't respond. And what I've found is that you can start to, or send somebody a message and you regret you sent that message, maybe because I shouldn't have sent that. I shouldn't have said that. And what I've found is that more times than none, we always get a second chance and a third chance and a fourth chance. But a lot of times we don't take the chance. And so if you've lost the trust of somebody, how do you gain the trust back? You continually show up and be a trustworthy person day in and day out. And whether or not that person ever trusts you again, that's on them, not on you. But just because in your past you did things that people, thought they didn't like about you or what you said or what you did, and so now you have these regrets, or you have people that you feel did you wrong, so you resent these people. For me, I had a lot of coaches and mentors through the years that they were very well intended and they gave me great advice. And to this day, I am extremely thankful and grateful. But there was a period of time where I resented them. Resented them because I felt that I had wasted time. I regretted spending money on these certain things and doing these certain things and getting into tons of debt because I thought, if I hadn't done these things, right? This is looking at the past, having these regrets of the past that are preventing you from living a happy, fulfilling, fun, joyful present into the future, because we're hanging on to these things that we already did that we cannot change now, but you can learn lessons. And what I've learned is that the ability to release. So we've got resentment and we've got regret. Those are the two that by and large are not serving you, right? These 2 R's. But if you can then release the regret, release the resentment, and be able to refocus or recalibrate. Doing the mind mechanic, I love, recalibrating something, right? Tweaking something, tuning something, shifting something. If you can shift your perspective, release these thoughts, release the anger, the frustration, the anxiety, the worry about what you did that you shouldn't have done. Because there's always a lesson to learn. And that's what I have found that has been so powerful. So my ability to release these things, find the lessons. Now I can learn from everyone. Because before I was like, oh my gosh, who do I learn from? What do I do? Don't spend money on this. Don't. And it was really, it held me back, right? It held me back in a lot of ways. But now being able to know that no matter what I do, I can refocus. I can learn something from it. I can release whatever was bad about it. Now I see that there is a path for me and there is a path for you that if you're able to refocus will open up to you a whole slew of possibilities and opportunities to move you forward will happen when you release. There may be some things other than ours, right? When you release the anger, when you release the frustration, when you release the resentment, when you release, the regrets, when you release these things, because then you live in fear. If you have a lot of resentment, if you have a lot of regrets, or you're thinking, will I regret doing that? What I have found in asking my grandpa that question specifically when he was in his late 70s, I said, what do you regret as something you did? What do you regret of something you did not do? And for my grandpa, he immediately came up of something he regretted that he did not do. And that for him, which is a lot of where what I do comes from, is that he had one agent for his book, his novel, that said, if you would have written this book 50 years ago, it would have been a bestseller. And my grandpa told that story, to the best of my knowledge, for over 30 plus years. What story are you telling that you've allowed one person, I say tuning up hearts and minds one at a time. Mine's to tune them up, not to tune them down. Mine's to encourage, not to discourage. So what are you holding on to that happened in your past? What regret will you have that if you keep telling yourself this thing, oh, well, wish I would have done that. Wish I would have done it. And you just keep wishing you would have done it, right? Because what happens is you have an opportunity to learn from the things that you do. Not much to gain from things you don't do. We all make mistakes. I guarantee somebody who's shaming you has made plenty of mistakes. And it's not you they're shaming themselves. As my man, Steve Sisler, has said, and I've seen many others quote this as well, whether it came from him or them or somebody else, we don't see others as they are. We see them as we are. So when people are saying things to you, shaming you, bullying you, remember, hurt people hurt. And the thing that you're trying to keep you safe so that you don't get hurt is hurting you. And so what I found is that if you can stop holding on to and clasping so tightly what has happened that you cannot change and looking at it through a lens of negative, and you can release that, refocus, recalibrate, you'll be able to soar, right? It'd be like your car hooked up to an 18-wheeler with cables in the back and you trying to hit the accelerator. This stuff's holding you back, right? You have to be able to go forward. So you reverse back and bang into it, right? Might rip apart your freaking bumper. But the idea is to release the shackles, right? And the shackles are shoulda, coulda, woulda, right? Something happens and then you did the best. You made the best decision. 9 times out of 10, you made the best decision with the information you had at the time you made the decision. Then when you make the decision, things happen. I made the best decisions that I made at the time when I bought all these things on credit cards, and it accumulated. And then I didn't use these courses. I didn't use these programs. But was it their fault? No. I don't even like to point blame at them or me anymore. It just was what it was. But that doesn't mean that another mentor, another coach, another program, another course, another book, another this, another person, we have somebody that wronged us and we think everybody's going to wrong us. They're not. But if you see life through a lens of wrong and people do wrong to you, then you either will not get to flourish with the opportunity of collaboration, right? Because you've used it. It's not for you. I'm not doing it. People screw me over. So you either will not get the fruit of that in the future, or you will continue to do it and you will continue to with the same outcome because your belief system is looking for, your bias is looking for to be wronged. And so my thing is all these things that have happened, that I used to regret, people I used to resent. They did this to me. I've released, I've recalibrated, I've refocused. One of the biggest shifts right now, thinking, I talked a lot about this on my Tuesday call, but bring it up here again today. You're thinking, when you think, let me say this, when you think different, you be different. When you be different, you do different. When you do different, you get different. And so when you think about that right now, what have you been thinking about on a daily basis? What are you focused on a daily basis? Is creating your world, is creating your reality. And so for me, there was a time that I wanted to transition from my full-time video production. And I didn't transition to what I'm doing now as a coach, as a speaker, as what you're seeing here, because it was easier and I couldn't succeed in video. In fact, the transition, you know, I went backwards in income. It wasn't that I was like, oh yeah, it's so much easier to make so much more money. It's like, no, I love what I do. And some of you either are employed and don't like what you do anymore, because you probably didn't start it hating it, or you're self-employed and you want to make a change. You want to make a shift, and you're focused on what is more than you're focused on what could and will be and what's possible. So one of the refocuses, recalibration, is stop thinking and speaking constantly about what you do not want and shift it to what you do want. It's not a naiveness that you ignore what is, but thinking about it and focusing on it. Anybody who's a filmmaker and you got a lens and you refocus, especially if you were at a lower aperture, if you were at a 1.2 lens, 50 mil, right? You could have my freaking nose in focus and my eyes out of focus, right? And if my nose and my eyes, but my whole background's going to be out of focus. I don't even know where that thing is on here to like blur out the whole background. But the thing is, focusing right now, all of you, if you're looking at this, if you're happen to catch this on video, can only see right here in this frame. You can't see what's to my left, what's to my center, what's to my right, what's down below. Anyone want to tell me what color pants I got on? Do I have socks on? No. You can guess, you may guess right, but you have no idea. You would be literally guessing. And so if over here is everything that you have and you don't want and you don't like, right? And everything you want is over here, looking over here all day, every day, and talking about that won't get you over here. You know this crystal clearly. You can describe it to a T. So you need to refocus, recalibrate, and shift to what do you want? Get clear about that. Most of us are very clear about what we don't like, what's not working, and what we don't want. Example of that for me was simply in my video production company. At the time, I got really intense about not doing what I was doing anymore. All I could tell anybody about was how I didn't want to travel, I didn't want to do video, and I didn't want to have debt. And the year I was the most extreme about that, because I had almost a decade runway before that of momentum built in that direction, I had the most amount of video, travel, and debt that I had ever gotten in a single year. And then I'll get into the story today, but I almost went bankrupt in 2016, got married, turned 30, stopped all the things of trying to make money with the thing I really had wanted to do, coaching and speaking, which I can get into on other stories. 2017, 18, focused on what I knew best how to make money with, which was video. Boom, income went way up again. Extreme laser focus, right? No delusion, right? Diffused light, LEDs, it's hard to start a fire or have a laser with an LED light, right? So then we shifted 2019. Within a year and a half, I went from earning all my money to 90+% of my income from video production since 2004 to within a year and a half earning 100% of my income through coaching. And that can happen for you. Could that have happened 5 years sooner? I mean, it is what it is. But the reality is I am focused on the fact that I shifted my focus to right now. There's something where there's an opposite. There's always an opposite. There's always a duality to something. So that idea that I don't want to have debt, don't want to travel, don't want to do video. What are the opposites of that? Stay home. For me, whatever the opposite of video for me was, for you, it could be anything, right? Whatever that is. But so rather than I don't want to do video, I want to do coaching. I don't have debt. I want to have abundance financially, right? I don't want to travel. I want to stay home. So what is that for you? Because the idea of focusing on what is all the time will continue to get you more of what is. The ability to focus on what can and will be only typically if you shift, recalibrate, and refocus and release the past, release what was, release what is, and open yourself up to receive what can be, because it's there. It's waiting for you. But as long as you hold on to that fear, that anger, that sadness, that resentment, the regrets, all of that, as long as you hold on to that past of what has happened that didn't work out, that you didn't like, et cetera, you will stay there. And your past will constantly be your present. So what you have today that you're angry about, resentful about, regretful about, whatever, as long as you hang tightly to that, focus on that. It's not hard to predict one's future. We're all prophets. In the next 3 weeks, the next 3 months, the next 3 years, as long as you do that activity, you will keep having more of your past. But when you start to shift, right, refocus, it's amazing how quickly things will transpire, and all the magic and miracles that'll start to happen in your life. Sometimes within minutes, sometimes within days, sometimes within months, but it will happen. I'll leave you with this story at the very end here of a man I knew since 2014, did coaching with him on and off for a couple of years, lost touch for a few years, got back together, did some more work together in 2019. And there's a question that I will ask all of you, and it's a thinking question. What would you do if you never needed money again? What would you do if you never needed money again? With the activities you currently have on, what ones would you stop immediately? What things would you start doing, right? What would you keep doing? Stop doing, keep doing, start doing. And I always ask people that question. And this particular person, I didn't have this knowledge to share the 2014, 2015. I wasn't aware of it. So finally, he was in video production, and all of you, there will be people telling you in life where the most potential is of something. So if you have something that you would answer that with, and you ask the wrong person, they may shoot that down because they're going to see that thing through their lens, through their eyes. Remember, we don't see others as they are, we see them as we are. So if I think it's a bad idea, if I think I couldn't do it, if I don't think you could succeed with it, if I don't think it would make the most money, if it's not something I try, then I'll say that in a certain way. And you're going to receive it as I'm telling you that you can't do it, that that's not possible, that you shouldn't do it. It's not leverageable, scalable, and won't make the most money. It doesn't have the most potential. But what I have seen time and time again is the thing that has the most potential is the thing that you're actually most enthusiastic about, most excited about. That enthusiasm and excitement will propel you forward. The defeat that you have when you have an idea or excitement that when someone tells you you shouldn't do that, you should do this, unless the thing they tell you you should do lights a bottle rocket inside you and you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Holy cow, yes. And it makes you more excited. That's great. But how many of you have told a friend, a lover, a parent, a peer, a Facebook group, something you were excited about? On a Facebook group, you probably got 50 different answers. But if it was one person you told that, how many of you told something you were really excited about and they went, okay, I don't know if you should do that. Why? You got a really good paying job. You're making a lot of money doing this. Why would you lose that? Like, keep doing, like, and you were like, okay. And then they start telling you, and they give you all these reasons why their thing in relation to your thing is like, this is the thing, this is the way. And you're like, yeah, okay. Yeah. There's no excitement. And because you may not believe in your thing, you try to do their thing. They're smarter, wiser, better, more successful, make more money. Those aren't always reasons why you should listen to people. And for me, there's an R that you should take into consideration anytime you tune in to anything that I have to say. Does it resonate? But not just for me does it resonate, as in listening to me, do I resonate? Look for that everywhere. Does it really sink in with you? Not just logical. Yeah, that makes sense. Because the story with this guy, when I asked that question, was I would love to just be an editor. I'd love to have my multiple monitors at my house, not have to go anywhere, and just be able to stay home and edit projects. I don't want to find these projects, sell these projects, shoot the projects, or hire shooters and do all these things so that then I get to edit. I just want to be an editor. Now, that's what he said. How long did it take for him to declare that I am an editor and that's what I'm going to do? Because his beliefs, the old me even, I helped people do more so. I didn't ask that question years and years ago as much. And usually people would convince me more than I could convince them that this thing that they said they should work on or trying to do is what they want their help with. Now I look deeper to see what do they really need help with. And the thing they really need help with is believing in themselves, in that thing that they really want to do, but they may not know how to, and other people say they shouldn't do. When he in 2019, late 2019 declared, "You've believed in me, I believe in me, and I am an editor." This man from 2012 to 2019 always had a job and made between $10,000 to $15,000 a year with that job, or with the self-employment, trying to be the fish climbing the tree. When he released the thoughts, the I have tos, the I should do's, said, I am an editor. Within 2 months, 2 of his friends came to him with opportunities for editing positions. He got one of them. It was for a Netflix documentary series called High Score. Had a little old Nintendo remote control on it. He was the assistant editor. He's now gone on to work on HBO series, another Netflix series, quit his job pretty rapidly after, within 2 months and getting that position. He's making 4 times what he ever made in his employed job. And I think, well, probably 8 to 10 times as much as he ever made self-employed. And now he's living that dream. He doesn't have to go out, find the clients, negotiate these projects, sell these projects, get them shot, hire shooters, get all these things in place so then he can edit. He just gets to edit. He's been practicing editing for years, but didn't think he could make a living doing that. That to make a living doing that, he had to do this other thing. So what is that for you right now, where the thing that may have more potential? Will he ever earn $1 million necessarily, or 2 or 3 or 5 or $10 million, as just an editor? That's unknown at this moment. There are so many variables that could open up opportunities, but most would look at it and say, well, I don't see too many people doing that. Maybe a couple 100,000. Yeah, but he couldn't even get beyond 30,000 trying to do what could make, that had the potential to make millions. So there's something you're focused on right now that you don't really want to do, but you think you should do because other people have made you believe that that's what you need to do. And you're not even excited about it. It may have more potential than the thing you're actually excited about, but right now it ain't showing much because you ain't doing much. And as soon as you shift into the thing that really lights your soul on fire, you'll do a lot more, you'll get a lot more. So rock and roll, my friends, your daily jumpstart, tuning up hearts and minds one at a time so your ideas do not die in your hearts, heads, or hard drives. Appreciate you being here. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your attention. I hope you get a nugget out of these sessions that sparks you, speaks to your soul, and has you make a shift and refocus so that you can release the past and move forward into the future, a powerful future that is better than the one that you currently have. So rock and roll, my friend. Have a great day. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.